Hello and welcome to Beyond the Screen. You know that when I'm laughing during the intro, it's going to be a good episode. This is the show on the Merc with Movie Blog podcast feed where we talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about. It's our own little radio show. I'm one of your hosts, Shawn, and I'm joined, as always, by one of my fellow co-hosts, Mike. Mike, how's it going?
Yes, this is Beyond the Screen, by the way. That's the title of the damn show.
I like hello, welcome to Beyond the Screen. You guys have me all riled up, but also we are joined by a friend of mine. He is co-host on the new Merc with Movie Blog show, Game Over Screen. Brendon. Hi, Brendon.
Hey, how's it going?
Not bad.
I'm just not a problem. I'm just actually slowly taking over this entire thing.
Yes.
I'm just working my way into every podcast, and then I'm from the inside.
Yes.
Because I've been on quite a few of these now.
3 of the 4 or 5 that happened.
Hey.
So,
But there's nothing wrong with that.
No. Some backstory really quickly before we get into this. Sarah fell asleep. It is late. I don't blame her. So we have Brendon coming in clutch to be a third person on this show. Thank you so much, Brendon. I messaged you 30 minutes ago and I was like, hey, could you be on a show tonight?
That's what I do. I'm the professional third wheeler. I have a business card.
Can you please get an actual business card made?
Thought about it. When I do, you'll get the first copies.
Thank you. Okay. So we usually start the show off by talking about what we've been watching or playing, sometimes I talk about what I've been playing, but not
anymore.
Or yes, because there's another show, Game Over Screen, on the Merc with Movie Blog podcast feed that you can listen to if you want to hear about that. Usually we talk about what we've been reading or watching or whatever. Sure. So Brendon, I'm going to throw it to you first as you are the guest. What have you been watching this week?
I like how you didn't ask me what I've been reading because I don't read.
Yes.
So it's a good good segue. So recently, not really too much. I mean, obviously Clone Wars, of course.
Yes, we'll talk about.
Yeah, I actually just watched a Clint Eastwood movie tonight. Great stuff. Outlaw Josie Wales. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Oh, that's a classic. Oh, that's
good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've got the box set with Outlaw Josie Wales, Pale Rider, Unforgiven. Ooh. Not to mention, next to it, not collecting dust, because I keep all of my DVDs in pristine condition, is the Magnum Force collection with all of those great movies.
Good stuff.
Oh, yeah. The VHS tape player collects the dust, but which is a crime in itself. But yeah. So, other than that, I haven't really been watching much. I did watch A New Hope the other day. That was pretty good. It was the first time. It was the first time I'd watched it in a long time because it's been years since I've watched it. So I watched that. Definitely not while I was
tweeting it.
It was funny because I kept messaging Sean. I was like, I don't remember this, or oh hey, this thing or that thing. And Sean's probably losing his mind, but that's okay.
Brandon's like, I didn't remember Darth Vader's voice being so high. I think that's something you said.
It was a lot higher pitched than I thought it was, and I was like, okay.
I mean, James Earl Jones still voices the character to this day, and he's obviously gotten older, and his voice has changed.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Current day Vader does sound different, like Vader in Rogue One, or
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
Sounds different.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, the one in Rebels sounds completely different, or slightly different, but so yeah, that's not really too much on my end, other than some other people telling me what anime to watch. So, and I know that makes you just super happy.
Have you watched any anime?
Not recently, no. I did finish Overlord 2 weeks ago, but that's about it.
I never finished season 2 of that, but season 1 was good.
Season 1 was good. Season 2 wasn't bad. Season 3 wasn't hateful, but if I had to rank them, it'd probably go from out of 3, it'd probably be 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, so I shouldn't watch the rest of it, is what you're saying?
No, you should. It's good, but
all right. Let's talk about Clone Wars a little bit because Clone Wars came out yesterday. We're recording this Saturday night. Last night, Friday night, Clone Wars.
Yeah, and in 2 days we get the final episode.
I know. I'm very excited.
As am I.
The big day, Order 66, occurred in the last episode. We are going to talk about this spoilerifically for a minute. The the fact that Order 66 occurred isn't a spoiler because it's in the episode description.
Yeah, literally, when I clicked on it, I was eating ice cream last night when I was watching the episode, and it says in the episode description. I was like, "Oh my god! Oh my god!"
Okay, so I was talking to you about this, Brendon.
Yes.
Maul's hallway scene better than Vader's hallway scene in Rogue One.
Oh, hands down, without a doubt.
Dude's ripping the paneling off of the wall and decapitating clones with the panels. Like,
I think it's more badass just because of the fact that, like, with Vader's hallway scene, it's like, he's just they introduce his better just because it's like you get the really cool visual aesthetic of you have that red sort of ominous glow in the room. Everything's just like really dark. Then you just hear you hear just his respirator from the end of the hall, and you just see the saber ignite, and then it just goes from there. So it's really beautifully. I mean, both of them are shot beautifully. But I have to say that Maul's is more badass because he doesn't have a saber, and he's just literally ripping the panels off of the ship, walking in front of him, and he's walking down this hallway completely casual as blasters are just getting rained down on him. He's throwing panels, cutting people in half. He rips the one clone's arm off with the blaster. Come on. Come on. You can't top that. It's insane.
And it's so harrowing because that one clone is trying to get through the door, and you can see his arm fucking fly out and start to go towards Maul, and his buddy's pulling on him, trying to get him through the door.
And it's a bit of a similar parallel to that Vader scene because it's like they're passing the message along and everything, and there's that one door where the guy can only get his arm through.
Yeah, but it's slightly different because this time.
Because no one really makes it. In both scenarios, no one makes it out alive. But
Yeah, it's very exciting. I will tell you, Sam Witwer was streaming on Twitch, who's obviously voice of Darth Maul, last night, and he said that Maul's hallway scene isn't done.
Ooh.
That wasn't it. There's still one more episode left, and he's like, it's still going in episode 4.
Honestly, if the next episode is just all of a hallway scene of Maul, I'd be okay with that.
All right, so obviously the hallway scene was the highlight. The Rex and Ahsoka stuff, very emotional.
Ooh.
Especially when she gets the chip out at the end. Comes to his senses, and he's like, I'm sorry, kid. Oh god.
One thing, because what I saw a lot of people talking about too was that everybody and it's confirmed in Rebels if I'm not mistaken. I haven't watched it, but Rex, Wolf, and who was it? Gregor all said they're we removed our chips. Well, I'm like, okay, we haven't seen that happen, and that's kind of a
motherfucker lied to. He lied. He's like, I never turned on my Jedi. You're a fucking liar, X, because you opened up on Ahsoka. But when he opens up on Ahsoka, that is maybe the saddest scene in Clone Wars.
Oh my god. Just
the way his fucking hands are shaking and his one tear that goes down his face.
It was so well done. And and we were talking about this last night too. I think it's so cool that they actually have the audio from episode 3 in there, and when it's the same voice line of execute order 66. Yes, and I was like, oh my god! It was really good.
And what's really cool is in the credits they said, credited obviously Samuel L. Jackson, Ian McDermott, and Hayden Christensen. But the way they did that voiceover is that when Anakin's going, what have I done? It's Hayden Christensen and Matt Lanter saying it.
That's really cool.
Which is
really cool. Yeah.
So that's cool to hear. Before we move on, is there anything else from Clone Wars that you want to hit on from that episode?
I do have a bit of a small complaint.
Okay.
It's all the stuff. Obviously, if you've seen episode 3 or whatnot, what happens. With Anakin, he kills Dooku and whatnot and all that stuff. I just wish that we had gotten to have seen some of that stuff.
Yeah. These episodes are in a weird spot.
Yeah.
Because, the series of the Clone Wars is supposed to take place between, obviously, episodes 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Really, the best time to watch it is in between 2 and 3. Because it
without a doubt,
that much better.
Oh,
but
yeah.
with these last episodes happening at the same time as 3, it makes it difficult. Like, because if you're watching it for the first time and you don't know what's going to happen, it would be because Clone Wars spoils Revenge of the Sith, but Revenge of the Sith would spoil Clone Wars. I'd love to see them release like a special, maybe even Disney Plus exclusive, which is it's like 4 hours long, and it's Revenge of the Sith and the Siege of Mandalore arc cut together. Like
that would be cool.
So cool. Yeah, I would like to see that too.
Oh yeah.
All right. Have you been watching anything else besides that?
No, not particularly. No. I mean, there's some stuff on YouTube, but other than that, that's about it.
Yeah, donkey. All right, whatever. Mike.
No.
Hello, Mike.
Hey.
What have you been watching?
So, this has been one of those weeks where nothing really happened once again. So, what I end up doing is watching the film we're supposed to talk about, which is fine. We'll save it for next week. Yes. I do have things to say about it. Good things, not bad things. You make things.
We would have. The podcast would have ended.
Yeah, it would have. But no,
now I'm curious.
But
I won't.
He watched. I'll tell you what he watched, Brendon. He watched Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Oh, that bad movie. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, Brendon.
I've never seen it, so I'm just.
Okay. I was going to say. Jesus Christ, dude.
I'm just pushing your buttons.
Jeez. But what I did is actually watch another movie after that, and it was a great double feature because this was back to back because Emma Watson did Perks of Being a Wallflower and The Bling Ring.
The what?
I've actually heard of it. I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yes, The Bling Ring is a Sofia Coppola film. It's actually based on the real life gang known as the Bling Ring, who are fame-obsessed teenagers who use the internet to track celebrities' whereabouts in order to burglarize their homes. Mm-hmm. This was back around 2008, 2009, which I would have been around the same age as them, because I graduated high school in 2008, so they were like around that age, more or less. But yeah, they would just go into it was because I remember reading the headlines where like Paris Hilton and Lindsay Lohan and Rachel Bilson's house were like burglarized. Then they take all of their goods like jewelry and shoes and hats and clothes. They just take it, and it's all because they left their houses unoccupied, like no security whatsoever. So they like. Paris Hilton's house would have a key underneath the doormat. Like, really, Paris? You really leave your key underneath the doormat for people to go through? And then sometimes, like, there would be, like, a door unlocked they can sneak into or whatever. And throughout the whole movie, it shows this adventure of this teen guy who meets up with a girl, starts to, hanging out, being best friends, and then they're on the internet, and he's like, oh, you know what? Paris Hilton is out of town. Let's go to Paris Hilton's house. Because the female, Rebecca, she's like, this is what I do. I go inside people's houses and just burglarize. But then the teenager Mark's like, Paris Hilton's out of town. Let's go to Paris Hilton's place. They go inside. They raid the whole place out, and not the whole place up, but they're taking a few things, and they continue on and on and on. And eventually, at the end, since it's based on a true story, they actually get caught, and they went to jail. And it is a very interesting film. Emma Watson is in it, and she does a damn good American accent. I don't know why with Brits do a good American accents. It's weird.
Yeah.
Well, it's because the Brits are good at taking things that don't belong to them.
True.
Oh my god. What? They did make an empire out of it at one point, so fair enough.
Bit of a hot take there.
Literal empire, it's not even like a media empire or something. No, an actual empire.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds interesting though. I think I'm gonna have to watch.
I actually remember hearing about that movie when it was coming out. I never saw it, but I heard a lot about it.
Yeah.
I heard it's pretty good.
One of the most iconic little seconds of the scene is they are partying a lot, so they're dancing in a club, and they're doing coke, they're doing marijuana, they're doing lots of drugs. And Emma Watson in this film, dear Christ, she's hot in this.
Okay, so that's where this comes from. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I was like, where's that clip
comes from?
So it's from this movie. It's like for it's like a second, like because it's a slow-mo version. People are dancing in a club, and it's just this is really good. Sofia Coppola's a great director. She's done great films like Lost in Translation. She's done The Virgin Suicides. She's really good, and this is really good as well. I really enjoyed it. And
Lost in Translation's a good movie.
Yeah, it is. Oh, one of my favorites.
Where'd you watch it, Mike?
It's on Netflix.
Netflix? All right, I'm going to check it out.
It is on Netflix. I was going to put it on the list for all of us to watch because I saw it recently, so I suggest you guys watch it too. I did that, but then Sean's like, "Hey, did you watch Glee yet?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'll squeeze it in."
Just in case people don't know, last episode, Sarah and I talked about Glee for a bit, and we agreed we were going to watch the first episode of the series for this week. And Mike was like, "You know what? All right, fine, I'll watch it too." And so and I checked in with him to be like, "All right, did you watch it so we could talk about it today?" And we weren't going to talk about it this episode because Sarah isn't here. But what Mike said to me shook me to the core. And I needed him to explain right now what his Glee watching experience was. So go ahead, Mike.
Okay, so I end up watching the first episode.
Yes.
And it starts out, all right, getting used to the characters. Yeah. And I see Rachel pop up, and she starts off to be a really hoity-toity, like stuck up bitch. And she's like, okay, what annoying. And then you get to Finn. Finn comes around. And I'm like, ooh, okay, Finn's pretty cool. I can dig that. Finn's nice. Okay, I can dig that. And the music comes along. He's like, ooh, I remember the songs now. Yeah, I remember listening to these on Spotify.
It's nostalgic crack is what it is with the songs.
Nostalgic crack?
Yeah, that's what it is.
And I love acapella. Go on.
I was going to say, you're like, man, this show is insane and weird, and like, I don't know if it's good, but then they start singing the songs, and you're like, I like this song. I like that song. That was a good song. I remember this song. Like, it's nostalgia crack is what it is.
Yeah. And I mean, the characters do get better over time. Like, I've only, like, the first half of the first episode is like crap.
I don't know about that.
No.
For the first two episodes, yes. Okay.
Let me clarify because, like, after the first, like, the second half of the first episode, it gets better in my opinion because I was like, I started to hate the characters at first, like, oh my god, what the hell is with these characters? And all of a sudden, I start to like them a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I mean, not all the characters are great. I understand that they're not great whatsoever. But this is my type of show. Like, I love the crappy, cheesy fucking television shows.
I was really surprised you were so resistant to watching it because I was like, this is the kind of shit that Mike would eat up.
I love this shit. And then I was like, you know, I have to have for episode 2, and I started putting episode 2 in, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then there starts to be a love triangle between freaking Finn and Rachel and what's her face, the girlfriend, and Quinn. My gosh, she's a fucking bitch too. Yeah. And
she's the blonde one, right?
She's the blonde one, yeah.
Okay.
Oh man, it's just and then talking about it's just so much to take in, like,
yeah, like so what he said to me, because we were talking about getting ready to record, and he was like, okay, maybe I'll have time to watch another episode of Glee because we were waiting on Brendon for a minute, and I was like, I don't have, he'll be back soon. We don't have to have that kind of time. And Mike said, damn it, I can't just leave it off after episode 2. I want to know what happens next. So episode 2 is the one that ends where you find out that Terry's not pregnant, right?
Yes, and she lies to Will.
Yeah. Is that what makes you want to know what happens next?
Yes.
I'm telling you.
I have no idea what the hell you're even remotely talking about.
Mike, I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm going to say that is not how, like, that storyline gets so much crazier than it already is.
Oh, really? Oh, yes.
Yes, it gets even more insane.
Oh man, it's so good.
No, it is legitimately when you go back and you think about the first season, you're like, that was a pretty tame season. And then you think about, like, if I were to just say that storyline, like, without names, just describe what happens, like, a character does this, and then this happens, and then this happens, without names, it would sound like the craziest fucking thing you've ever heard in your life.
I mean, it already sounds pretty crazy to me, but
yeah. So I figured when Mike was like, I can't leave off after episode 2, and I had to go look and double check, I figured he was talking about Terry not really being pregnant.
And then shit, what was I thinking? Jane Lynch is great. I fucking love Jane.
Great in this show.
She's great. I fucking love her so much. She is a great actress, and she does a bang up job in this show. Emma in this show has OCD, and makes me think of everyone now being all clean.
Yeah, Emma would be fucking killing it right now.
Oh, she would be like on the ball now. Like,
fucking.
She'd be teaching like everyone how to clean to precisely.
Yeah.
Just
she'd be running shit.
Oh man, I'm hooked on it. I mean, characters are not that great, but it's just like, it's the schlocky, dumb plots, and it's high school setting, and it makes me think back, and the music, and it has everything that I missed. I didn't watch it when it aired. That's the thing. I missed out on certain shows, and this is one of them.
Yeah. It's, I'm excited to hear from you.
I might actually watch this through and just talk about it each week.
I would love you. Look, you keep watching for as long as you want. I know. I honestly don't know I don't know if you'll hit a breaking point with the show.
We'll see.
You like stuff that would be normally like considered to be not great, but you like the kind of the hokey fun of it, you know, which I think is what makes some of your opinions very interesting is because you have a very different approach to shows like this, like the fucking Salem witch soldier show.
I know.
It's crazy as it sounds. But I am definitely looking forward to hear your thoughts on Glee if you continue watching it.
I think I will. I'm so hooked. So fucking hooked. I want to watch episode 3 so bad. Like, I want to binge watch this shit.
All right, well, fucking keep us up to date on it.
Oh man, I'm so giddy. Glee.
You're giddy with Glee. All right, folks, that was the show. One pun and we're done. Is there what else? What else have you? Or is there anything else you want to say about Glee before we move on? Or
I'm trying to think.
Who's your favorite character so far? I'll ask you that. 2 episodes
in. That's tricky to figure out because I have no attachment yet. I don't have attachment yet to anybody. It's just like, I mean, like I said, Finn so far, which I know the demise of the actor, and I'm gonna be sad when it ends. Like, oh my god, I'm gonna I want to bawl like a baby because Finn, like Finn Hudson is just like, he's the jock, but then he's like, I have this like his backstory about music, his flashback, you know, about singing. I was like, I got attached to that. I was like, holy shit, that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like Finn. Rachel's starting to grow a little bit, but she's annoying.
Rachel is complicated. We'll talk about Rachel more.
Yes, I want to watch her kind of grow in quotation marks. So
okay, so I'll ask you one more question and then we'll move on. What is your favorite song that they've done in the first 2 episodes?
oh shit, they have
They did a bunch in the first episode. If you go to the wiki page, it lists the songs that they do on each episode's page. I threw a link in the Discord.
oh, I see it. I heard it.
But it's got
Oh yeah, that's true.
you a little bit of trivia because I know you like trivia, Mike, and I don't know if you've looked any of this up yet.
I don't think I have yet. Nope.
So leaving on a jet plane in the pilot, that was originally going to be Viva La Vida, but Chris Martin would not give them the rights to the music.
Wait, Leaving on a Jet Plane, is that an ELO song?
Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Okay, never mind. No, they have a similar song. Okay.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't until I know they teased "Don't Stop Believing," which is going to be their freaking song of
like their anthem. Yeah, they sing
the anthem. They sing so much. No, I actually loved it in episode 2, where they did "Push It" as like the sex it up. Like, because they're supposed to do a disco song, which was La Freak by Chic, and they're like, no, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna sex it up by doing "Push It" by Salt and Pepper.
It's so it's so uncomfortable, and Figgins is like swaying along to it.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I just remember when the show was still coming out and that stupid term they had for the fans of the show, whatever. Glee. I hated that word so much.
I liked the show and I hated being called a gleek. I really did. I did.
No, there were several people we went to school with.
Yeah,
because
I know
when that was coming out, we were in middle school.
Season 3, we were in middle school.
Yeah.
End of middle school.
I just remember hearing people, and then all I would hear just from everybody's iPods just down the hallway with their freaking, would just be Glee covers of everything. I was like, make it stop.
Yeah, I liked the show, and I would tend to agree that I did not like being called a gleek. I thought it's just kind of a dumb name for the show. As I told you earlier, I was forced to watch it. So so why don't you give the listeners a little bit of what's your experience with Glee?
Well, I already had a negative association with it because my sister would force me to watch it, and just like she forced me to watch High School Musical 3 every single day for one summer over and over again.
It's a good movie, though.
It's not. I just wanted to play Black Ops 1, but I couldn't do that because I had to watch High School Musical for the first 3 hours of the day, and then watch it again and again every day. My mom was kind of into it for a little bit. My sister was huge into it, and a lot of cousins of my cousins, they were like really, really big into it. So they would always watch it and talk about it all the time and whatnot. And I just remember because my PS3, before I had my whole setup in my room, was on the TV in the living room. So I had to wait until they were done watching Glee to play my PS3. And they would take up the TV for hours on end, and I was just like, Yeah, I do remember bits and pieces of the show, but I don't want to say anything because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. I just remember like dumb things. Okay,
so we are going to go ahead and go to break. And when we get back, we're going to talk about the news. So listen to these great advertisements. Listen, some of the ads are great. You might have just heard my phone ding. I forgot to put it on silent. Some of the ads are great. Some of them are recorded by me, so they're not good. There are some ads that are going to play in a second. So just listen to those, and we'll be back in a minute.
Hey there, Schmodown fans. This is Josh the Merc Rainer, and I am here to tell you about my show, Talkin' Schmodown. Whether it's Andrew Guy getting hit with a chair, John Roca screaming, "Outlaw!" or the emotional retirement of the Shire Wolves, I talk about it all. So you can catch me right here on Anchor and all the other major podcasting platforms. So, as I ask every episode, are you ready to talk Schmodown? I am.
Hi everyone, this is Sarah, host of Go Get That Rose podcast, a podcast that is dedicated to talking about all things Bachelor Nation. Join Jay Wade, a man in his 40s who is recently new to all things Bachelor Nation, and myself, someone who has been watching passionately for the past 3 years, as we review, share our thoughts on each episode of whatever show is currently on TV, whether that is Bachelor, Bachelorette, or Bachelor in Paradise. We might not even know everyone's name, but we have fun nonetheless. You can find us on Merc with a Movie Blog feed wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hello everybody, Jay Wade
and Kaylin here
to tell you about SEN Afterlife.
It's an after-show podcast where we expand on the week of craziness on SEN Live, as well as have guests on to join in the fun.
Yep, and we get personal too. We do movie reviews, and at times we go way off the rails, which I guarantee is always Kaylin's fault.
Hey, how rude and not true. So, come join us on the Merc with the Movie Blog feed, and remember to rate, share, and subscribe, and as always, enjoy.
I solemnly swear that I am up to no good. Hey guys, it's Shawn. I wanted to tell you guys about the new show I'm hosting, the Harry Potter Review Show. Every other week, I'm joined by some combination of Kaylin, Sarah, and one guest that has never read the books. We discuss one movie per episode and break down what we love about them, what we don't love about them, and the differences from the books to the movies. It's a ton of fun, and I hope you guys will tune in to check it out. Until then, mischief managed. Listen to those shows. They're great. Everybody does a great job over here on the Merc with the Movie Blog podcast feed. We're into the news right now, so we've got like 4 stories pretty much.
Yeah.
2 of them are bigger talking points, and 2 of them are just me being like, fuck you, about them. But we'll hit the bigger ones first.
Yeah. This week has some good stuff.
Yeah, starting out with Regal and AMC going to war with Universal. So
It's an interesting hill to die on for them, but you know.
Yeah. So pretty much, I'm trying to actually bring up the article, but pretty much, Universal made some comments. They made comments. I'm trying to see where it was the Wall Street Journal, and it was the CEO, Jeff Shell, who said that the results for Trolls World Tour have exceeded our expectations and demonstrated the viability of PVOD. As soon as theaters reopen, we expect to release movies on both formats. So pretty much saying that when the theaters reopen, we're going to release movies in theaters and on video on demand at the same time. It wasn't clear, like, will it only be for movies like Trolls? Will it be for their big budget stuff like Bond and like Fast and the Furious? Like,
Right.
There wasn't a whole lot of. It was a very vague remark, right?
Yeah.
So AMC responded, "It is disappointing to us, but Jeff's comments as to Universal's unilateral actions and intentions have left us with no choice. Therefore, effective immediately, AMC will no longer play any Universal movies in any of our theaters in the United States, Europe, or the Middle East." And then Regal responded, and I want to scroll up really quick in the chat because I don't have the link on hand, but I want to scroll up to
Well, first off,
what Regal said specifically.
Well, first off, they said we will not be showing movies that fail to respect the theatrical windows, as it does not make any economic sense for us. But then Regal tweeted out saying, Regal is not boycotting Universal nor any other studio. We will continue our normal policy and play movies that respect the theatrical window, allowing movies to be released first in theaters prior to streaming or VOD platforms.
Which is boycotting Universal. What they're saying is that if Universal does not respect the theatrical window, then we're not going to play their movies. Mike, what do you think of this clusterfuck?
Christ. Thankfully, I don't have a Regal or AMC by me, so I'm not fazed by this whatsoever with Universal stuff.
Yeah, Regal
We're on the other end of that spectrum.
Yeah, all the movie theaters that Brendon and I go to are Regal, pretty much. Brendon, is the IMAX one an AMC or a Regal? The one over in
Real?
Yeah, the one over in Rio.
That one is to Lowe's, so I think it's AMC.
Yeah, so either way, the three major theaters that I go to are all either Regal or AMC.
Oh shit!
I mean, this is all just like really odd because it just seems like I don't know. It's so weird because it to me it almost seems a little like childish, like how they're doing this. They're just like hey, this seemed to do really well, so we might do this, and they're like, you know what? That's it. You can't play in our sandbox anymore. We're done with you. And it's like, really?
You're not
really?
wrong, but I do think it makes sense. It doesn't make sense, but I understand where they're coming from because we were just hearing a couple weeks ago that AMC is not doing well, that they are on the verge of going out of business pretty much.
Yeah, I've been hearing that.
It sounds to me that they panicked and they hit the break in case of emergencies glass. And like, what I understand the logic that they use to get to where they are. I'm not sure if it's good logic. I don't necessarily agree with Regal or AMC. Hopefully they reach some sort of compromise with Universal.
I hope they do.
But I also like, I don't want to see a future where low budget movies are relegated to VOD and don't get theatrical releases. Like, I saw Uncut Gems in the theaters last year. I would not have nearly as good of, like, I wouldn't have had as nearly as good an experience in that movie if I'd watched it by myself at home than on the big screen in a theater with a bunch of people. Like, that movie, it's a low budget movie. It is the type of movie that you would put on a theatrical or on a video on demand site instead of a theatrical release. I think that's exactly the kind of movie they'd put.
And see, following that sort of same suit. I mean, for me, two of my best movie viewing experiences had to be for Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame. I mean,
those will always end up in a theater.
Oh well, I mean, but I'm just saying, it's like the experience of going into like of a theater, being around a bunch of people. I mean, you can go on YouTube or online anywhere and look up like, the scene in Endgame where Cap wields, where wields Thor's hammer. I mean, people lost their minds. I lost my mind. I jumped out of my seat.
Brendon can account that I also lost my mind, and I've never yelled louder in a movie theater than when the hammer flew into Captain America's hand, because I think Brendon was sitting right next to me, and I probably burst his eardrums.
Well, I typically avoid sitting next to you and one other person when we go to see movies like that, because you guys like to punch the person next to you. And I have to use my arms at work a lot, and I don't really feel like walking around, like a pendulum with my arms. So,
I was about to say, no, I don't. But then I remembered that I beat the shit out of one of our friends' arms when we went to go see The Last Jedi, and when the scroll started, I just started slamming his arm.
Oh my god.
But, no,
Anyway.
but I do agree. It's like, it would, no, I mean, nothing beats that, like that movie, like going experience, where it's like you go, you see the movie in the theater, all the hype with everybody around you and everything. No, yeah.
And like a movie like Uncut Gems, which I don't think would get a theatrical release if in this future where some movies go to VOD and some movies go to theatrical releases, I don't think Uncut Gems gets one. I also don't think that A Star Is Born gets one. And I had a very profound experience watching the 2018 A Star Is Born, where it was so weird. I didn't speak a word to the person next to me. It was this older lady, and we watched the movie, complete silence, and the movie ends, and I turn to get up, and she turns to get up. We just look at each other, and we're just like, we just had an experience together. Like, it was this weirdest nonverbal connection between like what we just saw was like really impactful, and we both experienced that together. And like, I think that's important, and I really enjoy those moments, and I wish that I hope that the future holds those as still being possibilities. But every time something like this happens, it worries me that we're getting closer and closer to a future where Avengers comes out in theaters, or Star Wars, like the blockbusters, Jurassic Park, that kind of stuff, and that's it. Mike, I don't know if you have anything you want to add.
Well, I know you guys are. I know you especially are kind of like broadening. Like you're talking about like I'm thinking of like production companies like Uncut Gems is A24. I mean, A24 is that indie kind of feeling for those films, and there's plenty of those that are sometimes going to VOD because they're so underground. And seeing them in the theater is actually a good experience because A24 does great movies. Like they distribute so many good ones. And actually, the Bling Ring, by the way, is A24.
Yeah, I saw that when I was looking at it.
So,
and whenever I see A24 on a poster or something, I'm like, add to my list. You know?
Yep. So those films, I don't think that's a big worry to worry about. I mean, because they are going to be within the theatrical window. If it's Universal they're talking about, because it's like, oh, no. A Star Wars Born, by the way, I looked up, is distributed by Warner Brothers. I mean, Warner Brothers doesn't. Yeah. I don't think there's any issues with. It depends on the company itself. Like if they're doing things like what Universal does, they're fucked. But I don't think.
I think it's more of if Universal, because I don't hear. Let's start with this. I think Universal's full of shit. I'd love to see the actual numbers on Trolls because I don't think that because I believe that it made the money. I don't believe that it was like the success that it.
Are you telling me you're doubting what Trolls World Tour? It's one of the greatest films of all time.
What was Trolls World Tour's production budget? Like, I'm looking at it right now. I'm seeing $90 to $100 million budget, right? So if it made $200 million, $300 million, that's a success for them. Right. I guess when you add in marketing, maybe closer to 300 is what you need to count that as success. Right. So it made $300 million on VOD and that was a success for them. If Avengers makes $300 million, you never see another Marvel movie ever again. You know, like,
yeah. I was just going to say real quick, it's funny that you mentioned, you guys were talking about like A24 movies and whatnot, so I was just curious, I was like, what all, a bunch of movies that they've made, and I am now coming to the realization that I've never actually watched an A24 movie.
Yeah, they make a lot of like smaller indie movies, and they make a lot of they make a lot of really good movies.
They made that excellent movie Tusk. Oh man.
Yeah, they were behind that. Yep.
They made The Lighthouse.
I wanted to see that. I heard that was really, really good. I wanted to see that.
I haven't seen it still.
It is on Prime Video right now, folks.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch it, but it looks...
come on.
It freaks me out. It's Robert Eggers. Dude's a genius, but also... Or Robert Eggers, I guess.
Come on.
For a little backstory, Mike, that's usually what Sean's thought process is when I recommend something for him to watch. He's like, yeah, I'll go check it out. When I know in his mind, he's like, yeah, I'm not going to watch that. Or he'll watch
I know that already.
Like a year and a half later, he'll watch it, and then I'm like, and then he'll send me like 8 things. He's like, oh, Brendon, you should watch this, you should watch that, you should watch this. And then he's like, have you seen this yet? And I'm like, no. He's like, what? Come on. And then I'm like, hey, remember that movie I recommended to you a year and a half ago?
I recommend good movies to you.
Name one bad thing I've recommended to you.
You know what? I was about to name a movie, but a different friend recommended it. I was going to name that movie that came out on Netflix.
Why would I recommend you a Michael Bay film?
I don't know.
Unironically. When have I ever been like, hey Sean, you should watch a Michael Bay film. It's exquisite.
No, it was another one of our friends, and I think you could guess who it was. But yeah. Look, I would love to watch The Lighthouse if it wasn't a horror movie. That's what it is. I don't like horror movies, as Mike knows. It has Brendon.
Like I said earlier, you guys should have seen him in It Chapter 2. Oh my goodness. We went and saw it with one of our other friends, and he sat in the middle of us, and myself and our other friend at the same exact moment had the same thought of just like sort of pushing Sean and just going like, ugh! And I was 2 seconds away from doing it when our other friend did it, and he jumped like a foot out of his chair. It was the funniest thing ever. It was
I
so
screamed.
good. You
I think
did
I
scream.
and it
You
was
did
like,
scream.
but it was a scary part of the movie.
It was like a silent part too, and it's like, you know, it's like
Dude
they're
in
just like
front
kind
of us turned around to look at us.
like the guy, you know, like they're just like do some dialogue, or whatever, and he just, our friend just goes, "Ugh," and Sean goes, "Ah!" and he like jumps out of his chair, like people are looking at him. I'm like biting my hoodie because I'm laughing so hard.
It wasn't funny. I
Sean
didn't enjoy
Sean
it.
spent like the entire film curled up in a ball, hiding behind his hoodie, and
I
at
don't
one
like that
point,
you're on this show.
hey, and then what was it? How many times did you get up to go to the bathroom?
Wait, go to the bathroom?
Okay, look, there was like one or two moments where I was like, all right, you know what? I'm
Were you
just gonna go use the restroom.
Were you
I'll be
shitting
right
your
back.
pants because you're so scared?
No, I just didn't want to be in the theater for a couple minutes.
Well, still.
There's a scene in chapter 2 where like Pennywise is about to eat a kid, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave. And I got up and I walked out, and I came back right when it happened. I missed all of the lead up.
He tried to plan it so strategically. Be like, I'll leave. I'll come back. The scene will be over. He leaves at the beginning, and when he walks right back in, because I can see him coming up the ramp, coming around the corner, he stops. He looks up at the screen, and I could just see the look of combined of horror and disappointment on his face. Of, damn it, I saw it, and oh my god, this is terrifying. And I was just laughing. Because I'm pretty sure once you sat down, I was like, yeah, you came back at the perfect time.
I don't see horror movies. As I've told Mike multiple times in the past, I don't think he believes me, but
I swear.
I hope you understand now, Mike.
No, I swear. I will make you watch a horror movie with me. I swear.
No,
it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Folks, if you're listening, if you want us to watch a horror movie and give us do a possible commentary with it too, let us know, because I want to see a horror movie with Sean so bad.
You know what we should do, Mike? We should make him watch like all the Conjuring films.
No! What the fuck? All
you know,
right,
just like
moving on.
Lock him in a room.
Wrinkle and AMC are fucked. You know, no, they're not.
Strap him to a chair and put the eye things from Clockwork Orange just to make him watch it.
Exactly what I was gonna say.
Look, it's a tough situation for them to be in, and it is what it is. Hopefully things resolve themselves. But another announcement this week from the Academy.
Yes.
This year only, this awards year only, streamed films will be eligible for Best Picture, and going forward, like, this isn't just for this year, for the rest of the time, I guess, or we'll see. Maybe people will complain like they did about the Best Popular Picture, and it'll get axed. But going forward, the sound mixing and sound editing awards are going to be combined into one category, Best Sound. I think that's disappointing, but Mike, Brendon, here, you sound like you got something to say.
I was actually just going to say, on the basis of the Regal AMC thing, I just remembered this. Actually, I think last year it was, Regal actually went under, and they got bought out by a parent company called Cinema World. I don't know if you guys were familiar with that, which they are an international company, and they actually went through and restructured their entire management and like employee system. So instead of it being like, you know, you'd have like your floor staff and your managers and everything like that, they pretty much have like the GM of the place, like an assistant manager or two, and then instead of managers, they have more like shift supervisors and shift leaders and stuff like that. It's a different thing that they structured it with, but so I mean, from what I know, Cinema World is doing okay, but with all this stuff coming out, who knows?
All right. Well, do you have any take on the Oscars stuff? Best sound editing, best sound mixing getting combined into best sound, and
I think that'll
year. Okay, yeah, let's start with the sound mixing. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I feel like that might rob some other films of like winning certain awards now, that they're just mixing them in the same category. I feel like it's just going to make, because, you know, I mean, you could have one film that wins great sound mixing while the other one has, you know, the other. But I don't know. I don't know how I really feel about it. I think it's going to kind of gyp some people.
What do you think, Mike?
Hold on, I was just going to give me a sec.
Go for it.
Give you a direct quote from the article about the sound category, how it's going to be structured. The two sound categories, sound mixing and sound editing, have been combined into one award for best achievement in sound that emphasizes the team effort. The team effort. The number of Oscars statuettes remain the same. Up to 6 statuettes may be awarded. Eligible recipients may include 1 production sound mixer, 2 supervising sound editors, and 3 re-recording mixers.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, I just genuinely think that there are movies that like I feel like Ford versus Ferrari last year, right? Not so much I don't know about sound editing, but sound mixing. Like, I don't actually remember if it won sound mixing or not at the Oscars last year, but Ford versus Ferrari, the sound mixing in that movie was incredible.
Still haven't seen it.
Yeah, you really should. It's really good. There are some other changes in here that aren't listed on that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that's the one I was going to bring up. So in the music original score category, for a score to be eligible, it must comprise a minimum of 60% original music. And additionally, sequels and franchise films, a score must have a minimum of 80% new music.
That's a little hefty. I mean, the 60% original music for that I can understand, because if they have like 1 or 2, I mean, I know sometimes like with certain films and stuff like that or shows and whatnot, it's like they can have like best original like song or something. And it's like 1 or 2 things, but I feel, I mean, you know, the 60%, I'm like, okay, you know, that makes sense. You know, that's cool. But for the sequels and franchise films to have a minimum of 80%, that's kind of hefty because it's like
Star Wars, any of the episodes 8 or 9 wouldn't have been able to be nominated.
Well, right. Or also like if
7 maybe.
Yeah. I mean, if you're also filming a movie that's set in like the 70s or 80s, like America or whatever, there's some great killer songs from that whole generation and everything that you can put in there, and that would work well to fit, you know, sort of the aesthetic and the mood of that scene and specifics and whatnot. But then they're not eligible for that because, you know, they didn't.
I think with 60% original music in that scenario, I think they'd be okay.
Oh, yeah, and I agree. But to move on
the sequels and franchises, that
I think I could understand if maybe like even 70 would still be a little much, because I think it should be 60-60 both.
I
personally.
mean, again, episodes 8 and 9, I don't think either of them would have been able to be nominated.
You actually do bring up a valid point with that. If anything, actually, now you got me thinking, if anything, the first one should be 60%, and then the sequels and stuff after should probably be lower, if anything, because then, you know, like you're, you know, saying with, you know, 7 or 8 and 9 and whatnot, you know, they're going to recycle music and stuff from those previous films. No, that's a good point.
I understand the idea of like it's not fair because they're using music from other movies that came before, but at the same time, I mean, like if you're in a franchise, please use music you've used before because it helps with the storytelling. Can you imagine if we never heard the Avengers theme again after the first movie, and every time they assembled it was something different? Like even Age of Ultron barely used the Avengers theme.
Yeah.
But can you imagine? Portals happens, and instead it goes into a brand new theme at the end instead of it being the Avengers theme, because the Portals track for the most part is different, but the end is the Avengers theme right up to, you know, Avengers Assemble. Like, I don't know, Mike, what do you think about that sound, the score stuff?
That's different and staggering to think about because it makes you think about movies in a whole different way and how it's going to be awarded now. That just blows my mind because it depends. Yeah, I actually don't mind if they use new music and like rescore. Like I understand what you're talking about with the theme thing, but I would think like if it's if it's a franchise film, you got to have a similar sounding song to the theme at least. But I think the go-to I think of is Mission Impossible. They the theme, they remix it and redo it each movie in a way. fucking Christ 2 had freaking Limp Bizkit do their version of the Mission Impossible theme, but it's still the same. It's still the same. So as long as, I don't know if it counts, but if it's like, maybe they're counting if it's scored by the same composer, or if they're willing to have the same thing but done by a different person for each film.
I wonder if they mean literal, it was recorded again, like, because they record the Star Wars theme every time for a new movie. It's not that they recorded it once in 1977 and they've been using it ever since. Every time there's a new Star Wars movie, they re-record the theme. I wonder if that counts, or if it needs to be literally completely new composition, and it has to be like, because if you can use the same composition and re-record it every time, because like I think one of the things missing from the MCU, to be honest, is the themes, because the characters' themes change all the time. The only consistent one that we really have is the Avengers theme. Spider-Man doesn't really have a consistent theme. Iron Man has had like 3 or 4 different themes.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Iron Man's obviously gone at this point, but
what?
Like, what? But some of these characters have had like 3 or 4 different themes throughout their movies and their appearances. Like Ant-Man has had 2 or 3, and it's like, I think that's something that's missing from the MCU because every time you heard Kylo Ren's theme in the sequels, or any time you hear the Imperial March, like, music is powerful in a movie. You know, it's something that is so overlooked, but it's such an important part of the filmmaking process, and it's something that I overlook a lot too. I'm not as good at catching on to the music stuff. I have to like watch a lot of breakdowns on the music stuff in movies because I miss a lot of it. But like, whenever you hear like Rey's theme, or you hear Kylo Ren's theme, or like the Emperor's theme, like these themes are important. And like Luke and Leia's theme, which only plays a handful of times in all 9 movies, the music that plays when Luke reveals that they're siblings to her, like that music is only played like 3 times across 9 movies. It's played in Return of the Jedi, it's played in The Last Jedi when they reunite, and I think it's played during Lando and Jauna's scene in 9, but that's a whole other thing. But like, yeah, I don't know. I think that the sequels and franchise part of that could be a detriment to the movies. But it depends on what they mean by that. Because again, if they mean like re-recorded, like if you record it again, you're good. But if they mean completely new, 80% has to be completely new compositions. I feel like that.
Speaking of the Imperial March, wasn't it in like 7? They didn't play it once. It was one of the new
probably
sequel films. I was like,
no, they played it in 7. It might have been 8.
I think it was 8. I don't remember, because I think they did like they all came together, and like the whole cast, like they sang it like themselves with like a whole fancy thing.
Yes.
But I just remember they were like, we realized we didn't play the Imperial March once throughout this movie, and I'm like,
you don't have to.
Really? Yeah, but I mean, it's also kind of like, it's like a signature thing of Star Wars.
So there is a video that I linked, I think, in our Discord and also in this Discord, which is a guy who's talking about the music in The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah,
he talks about I highly recommend watching it because it's a really good music. It's a really good video, and he's talking about how music in Star Wars. I don't want to get too far into this because it's a whole thing, but music in Star Wars has always changed because they use it for different reasons, right? So, the Star Wars theme, like that's Luke's theme in Episode 4. You want to hear me do fucking TIE Fighter, Brendon?
I've heard it. I've heard it plenty of times. I don't want to.
It's a TIE Fighter.
There it is.
So that was Luke's theme, and you hear it in Episode 4 when he's on Tatooine, but it plays in front of every movie now, right? Almost every movie. Like, obviously the spin-offs, no, but every numbered movie, it starts and ends with dun, 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 like it starts and ends with that music. So it's really not Luke's theme anymore. It's the Star Wars theme. The Force theme was Obi-Wan's theme in A New Hope. But whenever Obi-Wan showed up, they would play it, and whenever Obi-Wan showed up, we'd be dealing with some Force stuff, right? Because he was the gateway to that world in the story. And over time, it stopped being Obi-Wan's music, and it started to just be, when you use the Force, this is what plays. And it became the Force theme, right? Like, music changes. The Imperial March was just the Empire's music at first, but then it became Darth Vader because people associated it with Darth Vader, and then you only really started to hear it when something with Darth Vader was happening. Like when it plays in the prequels, it's whenever Anakin is doing something related to the dark side. And the sequels in Episode 7, it plays when Kylo Ren is talking to Vader's mask. You hear a couple bars of the Imperial March. So it's this whole thing about how music changes and stuff.
They even have
a great video.
They even have like little subtle cues of it too in Clone Wars as well.
Yeah. Whenever
you hear
whenever
like it's like a slow, it's like a slowed down version, or just that bit, and it's like because I even noticed that too. Like I was watching it and I was like, oh my god! I'm like, what? That's the song.
Whenever Anakin does something that kind of leans closer to the dark side, they kind of play that. But I highly recommend the video. I'm just gonna go ahead and try and find the name of the video really quick so I can plug it on the podcast because we're talking about it. It's by Sideways, and it's why the music in The Rise of Skywalker felt empty. And I know the title might turn people off if you guys are fans of The Rise of Skywalker. Yes, it's a critique of the movie, but
they're fans of that movie?
Yes. I am not one of them. But
neither am I.
It doesn't just talk about that. It, like I said, talks about the history of music in Star Wars and very much about how things change and how music, the meaning of certain themes changes over time. It's a very good video. I highly recommend it. Back on track with the Oscars stuff. Is there anything else you want to bring up about this, Mike?
Did you at least want to talk about how the films that are going to be streaming are going to be eligible?
Yeah. So,
because I was reading up on the additional information about the rules and campaign regulations for the 93rd Academy Awards, and it's fine. I mean, they're saying basically that if they previously planned theatrical release, but initially made available on a commercial streaming or VOD service, may qualify in the Best Picture category. So it can be any movie that comes out from any major companies. So that's fine. I mean, but then once the theaters do open up, the movies that are coming out in theaters after the fact will go back to the original rules.
Do you think that this is really going to be a one-year thing, or do you think people are going to badger them into making this the new normal?
See, and that's what I thought when I first heard the news this week. I was thinking, this is the new normal. This is the future of the Academy Awards. Because, I mean, you have streaming platforms such as Netflix, Prime Video, now Disney Plus, Hulu. They'll have that eligibility to have those movies on their streaming platforms. So they'll be like,
I don't know if Disney Plus is going for an Academy Award anytime soon.
With their
HBO
movies,
Max, I'm sure they'll put something there, but
probably, yeah.
Well, something I've also this is a sort of a trend I've noticed with Netflix too, is that they don't really seem to be. They seem to be moving more towards the directions of like binge-worthy shows as opposed to movies, at least in my opinion. Like they still have like, big movie titles and stuff on the platform and whatnot, but it just seems like they're just more, it just seems like Netflix is just becoming more and more of like hey, we're just going to put out shows with lots of, binge-worthy shows. So it's like, we'll have, it's like, they'll even, like when The Witcher came out, instead of it like an episode a week at a time, it's just, here's the whole first season. Boom. And, the episodes were like an hour, if not over a little hour long and whatnot. But, I mean, that's just something I've kind of noticed with them. I know it's like, I'm like you guys have been saying, there's dozens of streaming platforms now. But that's just something that's, I don't know, that's something that sort of caught my eye with Netflix recently.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
The thing is with the film, it's that the film must be available on the secure Academy Screening Room member-only streaming site within 60 days of the film's streaming or VOD release. So it doesn't matter what it is; it has to be available on their stream site to watch within a
I
month.
I don't see any streaming service having a problem with that.
No.
I will say I noticed when I was looking through the list of rules and stuff, I did notice that they said that I think this is the last year they're going to be doing DVD screeners.
Oh yeah, okay. That makes sense.
They're going to be moving away from DVD screeners after this year.
Yeah.
So
yes, I just read that right now. Yep. Yeah. But here's the thing about what's happening now. Theaters are not going to open up anytime soon. I don't think so. I think this is going to go on for quite a bit. This, I think, will be the new normal, and this will be the future of the Academy Awards. I think, because there's no.
So.
It has to be. I mean,
recognition.
They do. Oh yeah. I mean, these awards do need recognition. I mean, these movies just they do, because hard work needs to be paid off.
I mean, we all watched Marriage Story, like.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not Brendon, but what I meant is that on this show, Mike, Sarah, and I, we all watched Marriage Story at some point, and like Marriage Story or The Irishman, but like. And Netflix doesn't do a ton of movies a year, but the ones that they really want to go for nominations with, they really go for nominations with. You know what I mean? Like, they make like 2 a year, or maybe 3 a year, that they're like, these are our awards movies this year. And they're usually like really good, to be frank. I think. I thought Marriage Story and The Irishman are two of the best movies that came out last year.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious how it's gonna be, and I'm thinking even further, like, because they do say they're gonna do the awards. What was it, February 21st, 2021, or sometime next year? And so I'm thinking how the format's gonna be to broadcast that. Is it gonna be the at-home version of the Academy Awards?
Oh, I think by then.
Oh, February 28th. Sorry.
Yeah, by then I think an empty auditorium with no guests is possible.
Okay.
Unless you're nominated.
I can see that. I mean, I can imagine having, select members, being. I mean, that's the thing, because we don't know when this is going to lift. That's the thing. I know some states are doing a little bit early, which
we'll see.
Kills me, because those people should stay at home still. God damn it!
It's rough,
but it is, and it might last a year. It might last 2 years. We don't know how long it's going to last. And this news of the Academy Awards, it's interesting, and I mean, I would love to see how this award, who's going to be nominated, and how the format of the show is going to be come next year.
Who's going to release their movies? Like, is Sonic the Hedgehog a Best Picture contender because nothing else comes out?
Absolutely.
That movie deserves every single award.
Yes.
For everything.
We'll keep updating this situation.
That movie
as it
was
goes along.
Amazing.
Yes.
And I'm also really mad because somebody spoiled it for me too, and I was like, "Well, that's crazy."
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Still an excellent.
This time, no.
This time,
I'm usually very good about it. Usually, it was the one time with A Star Is Born, but oops.
Because I hadn't seen it yet, and Sean had mentioned it to me. He's like, "Yeah, you gotta watch it." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it." And I was actually gonna watch it later that week, and my sister saw it. She was. She really liked it. And she kept asking me, she's like, "Have you seen it yet?" I was like, "No." And she goes, "All right, I won't say anything. I don't want to spoil it for you." And then Sean's just going on and on. He goes, and then just spoils it for me. And I'm like, "What the fuck, dude?" And he goes, "What?" And I'm like, "Come on. Like, you just spoiled it for me." He's like, "Oh, come on." And I'm like, "What?"
I'm usually very good about not spoiling things.
No, I will give you that. You are very good about it.
I did fuck up once with A Star Is Born. You still should watch it, though, because it's very good. And I will say,
I will never let you down.
Like, I think my experience was enhanced because I didn't know how it was going to end. But apparently, that's how all of them end. So I know that there were people that have seen the other ones that like still really enjoyed it, even though they knew what was coming. So I hope that when you can eventually watch
The
it,
one that came,
you'll still enjoy it.
the one that came out with, the one that came out, I think it was
1976.
Barbra Streisand in it. My mom and her mom went and saw that in the theaters. That's how long ago it's been.
All right. We'll talk more about the Academy stuff as it gets updated.
Yeah, you guys updated on that as they update us with that. That's actually I love the Academies and I love to see what
I
gets
love watching
nominated.
the Oscars. I feel like it's not a large amount of people that love to watch the Oscars, but I really like watching the Oscars. So I like people getting the recognition. I think Best Picture, Parasite winning Best Picture this year was a massive moment, and I hope we can get another massive moment like that next year. But until then, there are two more stories before we get out of here that I want to hit on really quickly, and these are just like they're very quick stories. The first one is a new live-action Transformers film has been set for June 2022 release.
Yes.
Wait.
What?
What?
That's good.
Hell yeah!
Wait.
It's a new Transformers movie. We only got about 16 of them.
Was that a joke? Okay.
It's a joke. Move on.
That was a really enthusiastic guess. Look, if it's a Bumblebee sequel, I can't wait. I don't think it is.
But
if it's a Bumblebee sequel, sign me all the way up.
I didn't hear that at all. This is news to me, actually.
It just broke today. The Wrap reported on it at 10 o'clock this morning.
I've heard a different Transformers news this week.
About the animated prequel?
Yes, that's the one I've heard.
Yeah, so Josh Cooley, the winner of the Oscar for Best Animated Film for Toy Story 4, is going to direct an untitled animated Transformers prequel with a script written by Ant-Man and the Wasp scribes Andrew Barrer and Gabriel Ferrari. Hasbro's entertainment studio, E1, will develop and produce the film along with Paramount Animation. I'm excited for that one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping it's something kind of in the vein of the original animated Transformers movie. But I know it's a prequel, so it'll probably be set on Cybertron.
Yes.
I think Cybertron and animation is the way to do Cybertron because it's very weird. They showed it a little bit at the beginning of Bumblebee, and it was really cool to see it in Bumblebee. But I think if you're going to do a full movie, animation is the way to do it. Very excited about that. Now, there is an untitled live action one. That's the one that has the release date, June 24th, 2022. I don't know, man. They're one for what? 6 for me. In terms of like good Transformers movies. I did not like any of the Michael Bay ones. I think there are some of the Michael Bay ones that are better than others.
How dare you.
I think that the first one and the third one are the closest to being decent movies, but beyond that,
I've seen all of them except for The Last Night.
Yes, you don't have to. It's not a good movie.
I have seen the first
you should
2,
watch
and that's
3,
it.
3's okay. All of them I think are not good. I'm a Transformers fan. Bumblebee was much more of the thing that I like about Transformers, and I like in Transformers. I was a much bigger fan of Bumblebee than I was for any of the Michael Bay animated Transformers movies. Yeah, I hope that I hope that whatever comes out is good. It's being there because there are 2 live action Transformers projects in development. We don't know which one of these is the date that was listed, but Jordan Harold, who wrote Army of the Dead, which is the new Zack Snyder movie that's coming out, is writing one of them. And James Vanderbilt, who wrote Zodiac, wrote the other one.
Oh.
So, like, there's a much Right.
Is Zodiac the one? Is that the one about the Zodiac Killer with Robert Downey Jr.? I never saw that. I heard it was really
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that the one with him?
Yeah. I think Mark Ruffalo.
Who?
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo. Hulk. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Mark.
Yeah.
I know. I guess I always go for the most familiar one. My favorite performance of his, really off track, is in Begin Again. You guys excited for a new Transformers movie?
It depends.
I'll see.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think that's
Need more details.
I mean, I liked when the first one came out way back when. I went and I saw it. I really liked it mainly just because as you know, Sean,
Yeah.
I'm a car guy, and the car that he transforms into, it's a '70s Camaro. It's one of my favorite gens of the Camaro.
for like
A
30
brief
minutes.
moment, but it was also really cool just because of the fact that was back, and then that was when Chevy released the newer model of the Camaro, because they actually tried to release that exact same model back in 2006, but nobody liked it. They're like, oh, this sucks. So they're like, you know what? We're going to redo it and put it in Transformers. And everyone loved it.
Oh yeah.
And I actually got to see the exact one that they used in that movie. I went to a car show in Pennsylvania and they had it there on display. It was pretty cool.
I feel like the Michael Bay movies were advertisements for cars, and I was not a big fan of that personally.
Well, yeah, and what's kind of funny too is that one of them turns into like this Saturn like sports car, and then it was also kind of just a little ironic because like a couple years after that movie, that's when Saturn went out of business. Yeah, no, and I think that was kind of like, I guess, like a big appeal of that movie was like all the flashy cars and everything and whatnot. I mean, the typical Michael Bay theatrics of just large explosions. So
Yeah, and half-naked women, and
there you go.
Yeah, a Michael Bay movie.
The real way to win America's heart.
Yeah. The other bit of news, a new G.I. Joe movie is in the works. This is something that I cautiously not excited for, but also want it to be good. I really like G.I. Joe. I don't know if G.I. Joe you can possibly do well because it's, let's be real, it's probably
Commander!
I really hope that they do it well because I love G.I. Joe. So
A
we
Snake
know
Eye
that
movie.
there is a new Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins.
I'm
is supposed
already
to come out.
boycotting that film.
Why?
Because they don't have Ray Park in it, and they're just like totally screwing my boy over. It's like disrespectful.
But Henry Golding
he's
is
a
going
good
to be in it,
actor.
and I love Henry Golding.
Yeah, I gotta see him in some stuff because that movie that just came out recently, The Gentleman. I wanted to mainly see that just because it had a really interesting cast, and I mean, you have Matthew McConaughey, Charlie. I don't know how to say his last name. Hunnam.
Dunham, yeah.
Not Dunham.
Hunnam.
Hunnam?
It's Hunnam.
It's an H.
Who's Dunham? Lena
Yes.
Dunham.
Lena Dunham. There's also Jeff Dunham,
Lena
the
Dunham.
ventriloquist.
Jeff Dunham, yes, okay.
Great guy.
I'm an idiot.
And also,
Yes.
Hugh Grant is in that movie as well. I wanted to see it just because it looked really good. Never saw it.
I still haven't seen it either. I thought it looked kind of cool. But yes, the Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins comes out October 23rd for now of this year. We'll see. Robert Schentwick, I can't say his last name. Schwentke. He directed the picture. It stars Henry Golding as Snake Eyes, and I guess we're getting another follow-up to that that's already in development. It's a fourth G.I. Joe movie. It's untitled. The writing team of Joe Shrapnel and Anna Waterhouse, who I'm actually not very familiar with. I need to look these people up. Joe Shrapnel he's on IMDb. He is known for a bunch of stuff in pre-production. Oh, he wrote an early screenplay for Live, Die, Repeat, and Repeat, the Edge of Tomorrow sequel.
Did that ever come out?
Not yet. It's still in pre-production.
Because I saw Edge of Tomorrow. I actually went and saw that in theaters, and I actually I really liked that movie. It was really, really good.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool.
Oh, and so they're a writing team. They've done a lot of the same stuff together.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope it's good because I like G.I. Joe. I hope that they can crack the formula, but I'm not sure if they can because I don't think any of those first two, or either of those first two live-action G.I. Joe movies were good.
They already, this new wave of G.I. Joe's already ruined. No more Ray Park as Snake Eyes. If they don't have Dennis Quaid in the new ones, you might as well just scrap the whole thing. Come on.
All right, that's all we've got for you guys.
Well, no, not that anybody cares besides myself. But John Wick 4 being delayed to 2022.
Yeah. I mean, John Wick, I saw the first
Watch
one.
the other two, Sean. God
Well,
damn it. Get to it.
I know.
But it took me over a year to get him to
I've been
watch
trying
the
to tell him
first
the same
one.
thing.
It's going to take me about
and
another 3 to get him to watch the second one. And so by the time John Wick 20's out, he'll probably be like, yeah, I just watched John Wick 3 last night. It was okay. And I'll be like, oh, good. You only have 16 more to watch. Come on.
All right, listen. It got pushed back because they have to finish Matrix 4 first, and they're not going to have time to finish John Wick 4 before that release date.
Mhm.
It's going to be okay.
And then, actually, there's
is all that we.
Disney just announced that they're doing a live-action Hercules with the Russo brothers producing.
Yes, and the Russo brothers are producing.
Yeah, but that's
we don't
good.
know anything besides that.
That
should be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, and the Russo brothers tweeted about it, and they pretty much confirmed it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I like them. I'd rather they directed it, to be honest. But if they want to produce it, good on them. Anything else to interrupt my ending with?
Well, I was just going to actually say I was probably going to watch the new Chris Hemsworth movie, Extraction. I'll watch that tomorrow. I heard it's really, really good.
Okay, cool. I've heard that it's.
Yeah, I've heard
I like Triple Frontier, so if it's.
I need to watch
Triple
that.
Frontier,
I saw them.
I thought Triple Frontier was pretty good. I liked that, so I'm hoping if Extraction's anything like that, I'll enjoy it.
But you know me, I'm a sucker for action flicks, so
Yes.
The best genre.
Anybody else want to interrupt me?
And then there's actually LeBron James just teased the new logo for the upcoming Space Jam movie called Space Jam: A New Legacy.
Cool.
I already don't like LeBron James.
God damn it. I love Space Jam.
Anybody else?
Great. But we don't need another one.
Yes, we do. And did you know what? Even though the new legacy is, it's Warner Brothers, so they're doing all the Warner Brothers characters. So Pennywise is going to be in it. The Mask, all Looney Tunes characters. It's going to be great.
They're going to have Jim Carrey come in again to reprise his role as the Mask.
If Jim Carrey comes back to play the Mask, I'll watch the movie.
Pennywise,
100%
and then
Rotten Tomatoes.
a fat old Bill Murray will come back in again to, be like, you need a hand or whatever that horrible line is from the original movie.
Yeah. Okay, that's all I got.
All right. Anything else you guys want to interrupt me with?
No.
I'm good.
All right. Well, I'm going to start the exit.
But one last
And
thing.
you guys are going to... No, Mike, where can the listeners find you on Twitter?
Actually, Sean, I forgot to tell you, there's a thing about Disney Plus I didn't even mention. I mentioned Disney Plus is being so successful that they're actually shutting down Disney channels across the globe.
I have not seen any other, I haven't seen anybody else report on that besides the one source that you linked. So I'm gonna say yes, I saw that. I want to wait until we hear more about it before we talk about it too much.
Because I hate you, Disney Plus. Why would you cancel these channels? People need this. These people.
Let's wait until we know what's happening.
Junior, God damn it.
Let's wait until we know what's happening because there's been one report of it. None of the major trades have picked it up yet. We'll wait and see what goes on.
We'll see.
If it happens, it's major.
It is.
I am excited though for that new Zack Snyder movie, so that way we can have another whole Zack Snyder release a Snyder Cut debate come out, and we can continue dredging that up for years to come.
Mike, where can the fuckers find you?
Don't call the viewers that. That's very rude and pretentious.
I love the viewers. You guys are just driving me crazy.
They're not viewers, they're listeners, goddammit.
All right, you know what, Mike? You're going to lose your plug, your permission in about 2 seconds.
All right, people can follow me on social media. My personal account. Damn it. On my social media accounts, including my personal accounts at Mike Mixtape, which is Mike MIXTAPE. I retweet and post a lot about movies and shit like that. I'm working on a bunch of projects. including my own podcast network. I will get you guys updated. I keep saying this for 2 weeks, but it's coming this month. I promise you that. John and I do a Power Rangers podcast called Into the Grid. You can follow that on Twitter at Go Into the Grid. You can listen to us talk about Lightspeed Rescue right now on anchor.fm/Into the Grid. It's also on plenty of other platforms such as Apple and Spotify. Just like, for example, if you listen to those on there. And Tyler, our mutual friend Tyler, is doing a podcast with me called Ride or Die as we talk about Kamen Rider, and we're doing Kamen Rider W. Check that on Twitter at Kamen Rider Podcast on Twitter. Follow him. Tyler's doing a bang-up job about Kamen Rider and everything else in between. If you want to listen to it, it's anchor.fm/rider hyphen, there's a dash in between, die. Because if you don't put that space in, it's going to take you to a blank page, which nothing has it. So make sure that hyphen's in the title. Because Tyler put a fucking space in the title just to make it fucking, it's like, why would you do that? God damn it, Tyler. Fuck all. So we have to keep saying that every time we promote the goddamn show page. Damn it, Tyler. Fuck all. And yes, that's about it.
Brendon, where can the listeners find you?
Absolutely nowhere.
There is somewhere they can find you. You got to learn how to plug. There is one
if
place
you want to
they can
follow
find you.
my super inactive Twitter where I have a horrific...
That's not what I was talking about, but continue.
Really? Then where?
There is another show that you do.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm new to this, so you have to bear with me. I am on the Game Over screen with Shawn and Tyler. It's a new gig we've been doing, you know. So I am on that, so you can find me there, hear my sporadic thoughts there. As far as social media goes, I'm not like super active on social media. Basically a boomer.
Come on, get with the times, man.
I was going to say, if you really want to follow my really inactive Twitter, it's Zodiac_70, all lowercase. You can follow me there, I guess. Yeah.
Awesome. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Shawn_AFK. You guys can catch me out, as always, like Mike just said, Into the Grid. Go check that out. Like Brendon just said, Game Over Screen on this podcast feed. I also host Through the Portkey on this podcast feed, which is a Harry Potter review show that is very fun, and we're almost done with it. We got 2 episodes left to record.
And we're doing the Hunger Games next.
You guys are doing the Hunger Games, and
you don't sound too excited about that, Shawn.
Hey, I'll watch you guys said it on the podcast, and it's out there now, Mike. I'm gonna respond. It's on the podcast for the record. It's on the record. I will watch the Hunger Games if I don't have to host and edit the show. Somebody else does that, I'll be on the show, but I'm not hosting another review show anytime soon. Besides those things, you guys can check me out watching The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody with Tyler. That is at Trouble at the
Trouble at Tipton, because it couldn't put the in the fucking title.
Yes. Thank you. I don't look. It's a lot. All right. At Trouble at Tipton on Twitter. We're hosted on Anchor, and it's really cool. You guys should check it out. We're having a lot of fun with it. As for this feed, you guys can find this show and others on the Merc with the Movie Blog podcast feed, which can be located on Anchor, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Radio Public, Breaker, and Overcast. You guys can also follow Merc with the Movie Blog on Twitter with @MovieBlogMerc. So, as always, thank you guys for listening, and we will catch you guys next time on the next episode of Beyond the Screen.
See ya.
Bye.